to generate more business and at the same time administratively make sure the efficiency of our office is at the highest level possible. So let's get started, and in order to do that, it's important to understand, and franchisees that are on this call right now, you probably are familiar with this slide. It's important to understand, for everybody to understand who exactly our customer is and who exactly are we speaking to when we are looking to schedule appointments for our franchise owner. So our typical customer is a female consumer between the ages of 45 and 64. They're in the top portion of their income bracket and typically house value as well. And our competition and who they're comparing us to is not only other flooring companies. That's who they may compare us to, but realistically the people that they're comparing us to and our customers are comparing us to are every other home improvement provider that may walk in their home. And so when they're getting their home painted, or they're getting their siding done, or they're getting some type of concrete placed in their patio, they're comparing us to every other home improvement contractor that comes in. Because realistically, when it's time to buy flooring, it's once every 9 to 10 years. So realistically, they're not having that many flooring experiences, but a typical homeowner will have plenty of interaction with home improvement companies. So the way we stand out in this position and the way we make sure that they understand that we are more than just the average home improvement business is by taking every conversation and every point of contact we have with customers very seriously and very professionally. So with that being said, there are three main reasons why our customers love us and why our customers find us different than other home improvement contractors. Number one is we're mobile. So typically when a homeowner thinks of home improvement, they're thinking of one of the big box stores where they have to go and consult with someone there, and then they typically will take back samples or paint swatches and go back to their house and then go back to the big box store and then have to deal with a different customer service representative. They are particularly fond of us because we come to them. We evaluate their space in their home, and we're able to make expert opinions in their home. The second reason why they love us is we're turnkey. So we're able to take the project from start to finish all in one shot. Whereas again, if they're typically comparing us to a big box store or a different experience, they may have to manage a piece of the installation, or they may not get any guidance when it comes to selecting product. And we are turnkey in that fact, and that anything that has to do with getting the project done, we are there for them. And the last piece is we present a custom solution, and not custom in terms of we'll engrave their name in the floor. We are custom in the fact that, again, we're in their home. We're able to address unique situations that if somebody was not in their home, they would not be able to address. So where else have they been and what else have they experienced? Typically, somebody that's buying from us and somebody that's a customer of ours or is inquiring to be a customer of ours, they have a strong idea of what they're looking for. They have an idea of what they want. Our customers, and just like any customers in the year 2016, they're very educated. So right now, if you were going to buy a car, you would spend a lot of time on the internet. And when you walked into the dealership, you would probably have an idea of the exact make, model, and trim of the car that you were looking for. You probably would even know the types of features that you wanted, and you probably would even know how much you wanted to pay, all before entering a car dealership. Now, if you set the clock back about 15 years, that's not the case. You're shopping around, you're comparing prices from one dealership to another. There's not as much information available to you. It's the same thing with home improvement, and it's the same thing that we're going to experience in the home, is that our customer has looked around on the internet. They have came up with ideas. They know what they want to see in their home. They've watched home improvement shows on the TV, and they have a strong vision for what they want. So the customer that we have and that you'll be experiencing, they'll be very particular because they're going to know what they want, but at the same time, they're going to be comparing us to other home improvement contractors. So typically other home improvement contractors, again, this is a generalization, but they may not be coming from the most professional place. They are typically late. They typically are not trustworthy. They don't follow through. So from the very beginning, and especially in the office manager role, we set that standard and we flip the expectation completely around, because the first point of contact and our first impression is going to be very immediate and very professional. And that's where, again, we will set ourselves apart from the competition. So moving on, what is the goal, again, of this webinar, and what is the goal of managing the leads in our system? The goal is to minimize a metric called slippage. And slippage is any lead that contacts us, that requests a flooring project. So they either come into our system via email, they come into our system from a phone call, they come into our system from a lead that our franchise owner or design associate got at a B&I meeting. Any type of prospective customer that reaches us, if you take that customer and they never receive a proposal, that lead technically, quote unquote, slipped. So that accounts for slippage. So for example, if you had 100 customers or 100 prospective customers, 100 leads, and 70 of those leads actually got a proposal. So the franchise owner or the design associate was out at the house. They gave that customer a proposal. Remember, the starting number was 100 customers. 70 of them got a proposal. That would mean that 30 slipped through the cracks. So 30% of them slipped. So moving on, why is low slippage important? Number one, leads cost money. So the leads that come into our system, again, no matter where they're from, phone call, email, if they saw the van on the side of the road, their friend gave them a flyer, however they heard about us, it costs money for us as a business to generate that lead. So if your slippage is high and lots of leads are slipping, that means it's costing you money, and you're not even giving that customer a proposal. So that's costing a lot of money. And number two, you'll see here, customer service is so important to us. We know that we take a really high level of pride in our customer service when it comes to installing the job. And when we have a lead that comes into our system and we address it properly, we're also displaying the strength in our customer service. The way I like to think about it is that because our concept in our business is not a storefront where people are walking in and out, anytime a customer contacts us, it's like they're walking into our store. It's like they're coming in to our establishment and they have a need, they have a desire, they have a want, and it's our job to address them. It's almost impossible to walk into any type of shoe store, for example, and not have somebody ask you if you need help. Well, it's the same thing. If we're not calling our leads consistently and we're not following up with them consistently, it's just like somebody had walked into a shoe store and they weren't even looked at and not even greeted by anyone. It would be very rare, and if you were looking to buy shoes on that particular day, you probably would be upset. So again, low slippage is important for two reasons. Number one, the leads cost money, and number two, we want to offer great customer service by following up with leads as much as we can. Now, I will stop here for just one moment and make a note that if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the box. I am watching the question box, so please feel free as we go on to type any questions in. So as we continue on here, what does low slippage mean, and how can you improve it in your business, and how does it improve your business? For example, if you had 50 leads that came into your business in 1 month, and you improved your slippage by 10%. So if currently 60% of the leads were slipping and not getting proposals, and you brought it down to 50, or currently your slippage is at 50 and you brought it down to 40, which is very realistic, that would mean that your business wrote an extra 5 proposals per month. And with the two assumptions that we have below, at a 40% close rate and a $4,500 average job size, that's $9,000 additional per month in sales that you can help generate in that business just by making contact and lowering slippage by 10 percentage points. So you can have a great impact on the business just by following up with these leads and keeping slippage down to a minimum. So again, when we are talking about minimizing slippage, we are mostly talking about being on the phone, talking to a customer, talking to many customers, and either receiving a phone call or making an outbound phone call. So we're going to go through a quote-unquote script, and I'm going to email you all a script. However, if I simply teach a script, that's not good enough. It will not be as effective as if we teach you some phone skills first. So before we go into phone skills, on a higher level than phone skills are 4 phone skill mindsets. So mindsets that you need to take in the back, in your being, in your personality, before you can truly be able to take on the full responsibility of calling on leads and doing it effectively. The first one is you're enthusiastic as hell. You see that as number 1. No matter what's going on in your day, you could be having the worst day in the world. You could have stepped in a big puddle on the way into the office, then walked to the front door and tripped and fell, got back up, noticed that you spilt coffee on the car ride over on your pants, and that phone rings, or you're making an outbound call. It doesn't matter how bad your day is. You are the most enthusiastic person you know, because you can actually change the response that a person gives you on the other side of the phone by acting enthusiastic and having your voice tonality be enthusiastic as well. Going on with number 1, number 2 is the most friendly person you know. So nobody wants to speak to anybody over the phone that's not friendly. I'm sure you could think of plenty of people, telemarketers, that have called your house. And when you hear the word telemarketers, I'm sure you all rolled your eyes. However, there are a few telemarketers that you've probably engaged with for one reason or another. And odds are, if you've ever engaged with a telemarketer, they were either enthusiastic or extremely friendly. Now, 99% of them are not, so that's why we quickly hang up. But the very few that set themselves apart and are enthusiastic and very friendly, they actually are able to get a word in edgewise with us, because psychologically, we want to talk to people that are friendly and exciting. The next thing is, number 3, is that we're singularly focused. What that means is there is only one goal of making a phone call to a customer. It is to get them to schedule an appointment. The customer is going to have lots of other questions. The customer is going to want to check their calendar. The customer is going to want to derail you and sidetrack you when you make that phone call, but you must keep in the back of your mind that the only purpose of you making that phone call is to schedule an appointment. The next one, number 4, is armed and ready, and this is just about preparation. If you're making an outbound phone call and you have your list of 5 potential customers, and you have that list right in front of you, and you want to get in touch with those 5 customers that you can make an impact with, and at the end of the day, you realize that you don't have internet access and you're not sure what the design associate or franchise owner's schedule is for you to start scheduling appointments, you are at an extreme disadvantage. You want to make sure that you know the exact schedule for your location, you know when you can schedule appointments, and you're ready to book them. Because the last thing you want is to get to the end of a conversation. The customer says, yeah, great, I would love to have somebody come out and be at our home for an appointment, and you say, well, I don't have the schedule, can I call you back? You probably lost the customer at that point. And the last one, number 5, is keep my chin up. So don't hang your head when you get 5 voicemails in a row. Don't hang your head if a customer tells you, no, we're not interested, because it's important as somebody that's in what this is a sort of a sales role. Anybody that's in a sales role has to have thick skin and has to be able to move forward and not give up. So even if the lead came in on Monday and you called them Monday morning and you called them Tuesday afternoon, that doesn't mean that you should give up. It doesn't mean they're not interested. It doesn't mean that we're going to drop everything and forget about that customer. We're going to keep our chin up, and we're going to keep attempting, because, again, any lead that comes into our system is just like a customer that walks into our store. Very, very, very important. So, again, moving on to the next slide. And so those are the sales mindsets, and now here is the phone skills. So here are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 extremely important phone skills. If you have a pen, Please take notes on these slides. This slide specifically, this slide is very important. Again, you can truly improve the effectiveness of your outbound calling and of your lead scheduling if you have these skills. Number one, you must know the most important word in the world. The most important word in the world to me is my name. My name is Albert. The most important word in the world to Gary, I see Gary, you're on this webinar, is Gary. The most important word in the world to Robbie is Robbie. So you want to be able to use the most important word in the world with whoever you're speaking to. So when you talk to somebody on the phone, saying their name, affirming that you know their name, affirming that you care about them is important. So using somebody's name is extremely important when you're on the phone with them. The second one is the 3-second rule, and I believe the 3-second rule is sometimes known for if you drop something on the floor for 3 seconds, it's still good to eat. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about a different 3-second rule. This 3-second rule is that you only have 3 seconds to develop rapport over the phone. So the way that you speak to somebody on your initial sentence when you over the phone is extremely important. The enthusiasm, the friendliness, everything that you put into that first sentence and that initial point of contact is going to determine how the rest of that conversation is navigated. So if you call someone and you're saying, "Hi Bob, this is Albert from Floor Coverings International," and you're down and your voice is a downward pitch, the odds of them responding positively are slim. But if you call them and they answer the phone and you speak to them like they're a friend that you haven't seen in 30 years, and you say, "Hey Bob, it's Albert from Floor Coverings International," there's a much, much different level of attention the customer is going to pay, and there's an inherent favorability that you're going to be able to create with the customer. The next one is dial with a smile. So this has a lot to do with the 3-second rule. When you are dialing the phone, it's important to watch your mood. It's important to watch your body language. So a lot of times when I'm making a series of phone calls like this and I'm trying to reach out to customers, I'll stand up because that's going to improve my body language. I'll stand up and I'll smile. And it's so important to do. Smile and then dial. The next one is mirroring. So mirroring is incredibly important, and it's something that I personally have to remind myself to do on a frequent basis. Me, personally, I tend to be a fast-paced person, so I tend to talk pretty fast. However, not everybody speaks quickly, and some people speak a little more slowly. Some people speak in a really high-pitched voice, and some people speak very low. And it's important that you recognize where your customer is at, and you mirror them. So when you mirror their pace and you mirror their tonality and you mirror their concerns, the level of likelihood that you'll connect with them increases as well. The next question says, or the next phone skill says, end the sentence and control with questions. So it's very, very important, again, to make sure that you are navigating your conversation with a singular focus, which is to book the appointment. But in order to do that, when you're asked a question or when you finish a sentence, it's important to ask a question. So whether it's the question is, can I go ahead and book that appointment for you? Or it's something as simple as, does that make sense? However you want to end a sentence, or however you want, whatever kind of question you want to ask is fine, as long as you focus on making sure that you're bringing control back to your conversation by asking a question. So that's what that one means. The next one is, as silly as this may sound, you have to ask to book an appointment. The number one reason why salespeople fail is because they simply don't ask for a sale. So the number one reason why you may not have great success at booking appointments over the phone is not because you're not friendly, and it's not because people in your territory are different than somewhere else in the country. That is not the case. The reason is probably because you're not asking for somebody to book. So you're not telling them, here's option A, Tuesday at 3 o'clock. Here's option B, Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Can I go ahead and book one of those for you? That's asking for the appointment. The reason why people have trouble booking appointments is because they don't ask, and they ask an open-ended question. And an open-ended question would be, well, we have some openings next week. When next week works for you? There's a big difference in the two of those statements that I just said, and the second one is less likely to get someone to book an appointment. The next one is problem solve. So there may be times on the phone with the customer that you do not know how to respond to their concern. So for example, they ask you if we carry Brazilian cherry hardwood from a certain manufacturer, and you're unsure because you're an office manager and you really don't know. That's the design associate, the franchise owner may know that answer, but you may not know. It's very important that we problem solve, so we can absolutely help. If it's in the realm of flooring, we can help. We can find them an answer. You may not be able to give them an answer, but we can absolutely help. We have to attack it like we can absolutely help because we absolutely can. And we just tell them, hey, listen, we've got over 3,000 samples in our mobile showroom. I'm sure we have what you're looking for. Bob, who is our franchise owner, knows the exact products, but I will tell you that I'm fairly certain we have everything that you need in our mobile showroom. So let me get your appointment scheduled. And if for whatever reason, it's rare, but if for whatever reason I can't find that in the mobile showroom, we'll give you a call beforehand. But I'm almost 100% certain that we have it, and I'd be happy to book that appointment. Does next Tuesday or next Thursday work for you? That's much better. So again, even if you don't know the answer, we're going to problem solve it, and we're going to transition to the next bullet, which is end with a purpose. So there is one purpose of us being on the phone. We spoke about that already, and that is to book an appointment. And then the last one, the last bullet you see here on the phone skills slide is absolutely the truth, and I touched on this a few moments ago, is 2 is better than infinite. What does that mean? It means if we tell our customer that we have open slots next week, that's an infinite, it's not truly infinite, but it's a seemingly infinite time period that you have openings. If you tell them we have openings on Wednesday at 1 p.m. or Thursday at 6 p.m., that's a lot different. It gets the customer to narrow down their choices. It gets the customer to start thinking and putting themselves in the frame of mind that they're actually going to be hosting an appointment with us at their home. When you give an infinite number of options, when you keep it open-ended, it convolutes the situation. It confuses the customer. And if you were to ask me right now, next week I'm busy. I know that next week I'm busy. But if you were to ask me if next week I'm busy at Friday at 4 p.m., I may have some time. So it's very, very, I'm sure you could put yourself in the shoes of these little bullets here and these phone skills, and I'm sure you can understand why they're so important. And these phone skills will absolutely help the chances and help the success of you reaching customers and getting out to them. So keep all of these in mind, and please, again, feel free to take notes. And if you missed the slide here, this is an important slide. If you missed something here, I'll be happy to email this out to everybody. So I'm going to move on. Now, where do we find the people that we need to convert to appointments, and how do we know who they are? How do we know what their phone number is? So all of you at this point are familiar with InspireNet. So you've been in InspireNet, especially if you did the exercise that was part of your training work about an hour ago. So where do you find these, and how do you keep your slippage down to be very low? If you take a look at where the arrow is here, the franchise funnel, which is in the top left-hand corner of your dashboard in InspireNet, is the place you need to go. So we'll make that a little bit bigger, and you'll see here that the place that you need to click into is the needs appointment done. So those are people that obviously need an appointment done. So that means that they stepped into our store, they inquired about what we do, they sent an email, phone call, B&I group, however they came into our computer system, and they need an appointment to be done. They live in that bucket. So those are the people that are quote-unquote slipped leads. They did not get the proposal yet. Now the next bucket, or the next link that you see below the top one, is need proposal. So that's this is a rare situation for a customer to be in, but if a design associate or a franchise owner did go out on an appointment, but for whatever reason was not able to write a proposal in the home, that customer would show up under this bucket or inside of this link. The next one, you'll see a bunch of customers in this one, need to close. So that means that the customer got a proposal, but they did not buy from us yet. They did not yet sign their proposal or tell us that they're going to move forward with the project. We will talk about this bucket in a moment. The next one is need to produce. So those are customers of ours. They bought from us that we have not yet produced the job yet. Need to get paid is pretty self-explanatory. Deads to call. So let's just say, let's go to the very top of the screen that you're looking at right now for needs appointment done. Let's go back to that. And let's just say that you, for 30 days straight, you either called, texted, or emailed a customer and they did not respond to you, and then they finally called you back on the 31st day and said, hey, listen, guy, I'm not interested in any flooring. I don't know how you got my phone number. I'm not interested. You have the ability to mark that customer dead. And if you mark a customer dead, they would show up in that deads to call bucket on the second to last link there. And I would make a strong suggestion that once per month you go through your quote-unquote dead leads and you either email them or call them all. And that's an opportunity to revive them. So if you look at the very last link, if there is a lead or a project that you marked dead and you just so happen to get back in touch with that person and that customer and they're back and interested in our services, they would then appear in the revived to land bucket. So that's an explanation of our bucket, but let's move on. You'll see the needs appointments done as our #1 priority. So this is exactly what I've been saying before. This is where we want to focus our attention so that we can minimize that S word, which is slippage. We want to minimize that slippage word, so we're going to click into that need appointments done bucket very frequently. And please know that this is more important. It's the #1 most important bucket to play in for our office managers. And then you'll see down here, way as a second place, in second place by a long shot are these buckets below: need to close, need to produce, need to get paid. First and foremost, we want to know who needs an appointment to be done. So here are some bullets on contacting people that need an appointment done. And we will go through all of these today. And I think that it's important to just, again, take note here. This is definitely a note-taking slide. So first and foremost, we're going to learn our elevator script and our elevator pitch and our outbound script on today's call. So we will go through that in a few moments. The second one is book appointment. So you definitely, again, the goal is to book an appointment, and you want to be ready with 2 options. We talked about that as well. But here's where it's better to be a no-getter. You want to be a no-getter. Everybody talks about being a go-getter, but as in somebody that's looking to schedule an appointment, you need to be comfortable asking questions that may get you the answer no. So for example, a question that is stated in such a way that you can get an answer maybe is not as good of a question as a question that you can state and get an answer yes or no. For example, if you say, we have a few openings next week. Does sometime next week work for you? Can I give you a call next week? You are not getting a definitive yes or no if that customer is booking an appointment based upon the sentence and the question that I just said and asked. If you say to the customer, I have 2 days available, can I go ahead and book one of them for you? That's asking a question in such a way where you may get a yes or you may get a no. So it's better to ask definitive questions, and the reason why it's better to ask definitive questions is so that we can move on with our list. If a customer's not interested in our services, then that's fine. We can move on. But if we're constantly every week going through these phone calls and customers keep giving us maybes and keep pushing us off, the next thing we know is that we're consumed with possible potential customers, and it's wasting a ton of our time when we could be calling and paying attention to people who actually want our services. So again, it's better to be a no-getter, and it doesn't mean go make people mad and get them to tell you no. It means you should ask questions in such a way that may elicit a yes or a no answer instead of an open-ended maybe type of answer. Very important when you're looking to book appointments. Very, very important. So like I said, we're going to go into our little bit of a script here when we're talking to a customer on the phone. And an important thing to know about speaking to anyone, whether it be on the phone or your mother-in-law that asks you what this new job that you're doing is all about. It's important to know exactly who we are and what we do, and the way that we express that is through an elevator pitch. And the elevator pitch is pretty simple to understand. It's explaining to someone that you would see in an elevator exactly who we are from A to Z, all in the time that you're in an elevator. So it's a short couple of sentence explanation of what we do and how we do it, and you should have something at the back, on the back of your hand, something that you could always say, and you should always be ready to give the elevator pitch. So this would be another great thing to take notes on. There are 5 main points of our elevator pitch. So the first one, and the first one's pretty simple, and you'll see it on the screen right here, the first bullet, is stating who we are. So we're Floor Coverings International. We're not the flooring store. This is the flooring guy you called, or what you want to tell, you want to brand our company. We want the customer to know, hey, we're Floor Coverings International, and we bring samples to your home. That's the second bullet. So we will bring the samples to your home, and we offer a free consultation. Free is a big buzzword there. People, when they hear free, their ears perk up. We want to make sure that we're including that word free in there. So we bring samples to your home and offer you a free in-home consultation where we'll come out, we'll measure, we'll let you pick a product from over 3,000 samples that we have in our mobile showroom, and we'll give you an estimate in the same visit. We'll also discuss payment options. And where it says end with a question, what that means is, can I go ahead and book that appointment for you? Next Tuesday or Thursday, we've got openings. Which day is better for you? So those are, again, that's ending with a question. So really that's kind of an add-on to the elevator pitch. But the elevator pitch explains, again, who we are. We're Floor Coverings International. We bring samples to your home and come into your home for a free in-home consultation where we'll come out, we'll measure. We'll help you pick product and pick the perfect floor to fit your space, and we'll give you an estimate all in the same visit with payment options. And I'd be happy to come out next Tuesday at noon or Wednesday at 5 p.m. Which one works better for you? That's our elevator pitch. So very, very short and sweet, tells them exactly who we are and what we do. And let's move on into the needs appointment script. So I will send this to you, both of these things to you, and actually I believe I built in a slide for this. So number one, again, this is a note-taking slide, and I spoke about this already. These are FAQs. So what are customers most likely going to say to you? What are they going to ask you? And again, the reason why I left this page blank and this slide blank is because there are a few questions that they'll ask. There are probably 2 questions that they'll ask, and the answers are similar to both of them. So the first one is pretty simple. The customer is going to ask, where are you located? And when they ask where are you located, it's not because they're interested in hearing what the address is. They are interested in seeing if your business is legitimate, because again, they never saw us as that. They never saw a storefront that said Floor Coverings International. They found us on the internet, most likely. And when they ask you, where are you located, it's just because they're making sure that we're not some fly-by-night type of company. So that is the most common question you'll hear a customer say. And you can answer with, we're located in blank township off of a certain main road, or we're located in the northwest part of town, or however you want to answer it. If you want to give them your exact address, that's fine as well. But then you navigate back, and remember, we're singularly focused on these phone calls. We navigate right back and say, we're located on the northwest part of town. We're Floor Coverings International. We come to your home with samples. We'll give you a free in-home consultation where we'll measure. We'll show you again. We'll show you those samples. We've got over 3,000 of them. We'll help you pick out the right product, and we'll actually come out and give you a free estimate all on the same visit. Is there a particular day that works for you next week? Does Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday morning work for you? So we answer the question, and we navigate back into the elevator pitch, into the script. The second most common question they'll ask, and there's 1,000 different types of variations to this question, is they'll say, do you carry XYZ? Do you carry carpet? Do you carry stone? Do you carry a Brazilian cherry? Do you carry a checkerboard tile in pink and yellow, for example? I'm just throwing it all out there. So they're going to ask you if we have a certain product. And again, we, for a fact, have relationships with every major flooring vendor in North America. We have access to any type of flooring that the customer wants. And remember, most of the time customers know what they want when they're calling us. We most certainly 90% of the time even have that product they're looking for inside of our mobile showroom. So if you're not sure, remember what to do if you're not sure. If you're not sure and the question's around product, there's a 100% chance that we can get it, and there's a 90% chance that it's in the mobile showroom. So we will tell them, you know what, I am certain that we do have that product. We have over 3,000 samples inside our mobile showroom. Actually, what we do is we come out to your home, we show you our samples, we measure, give you a free estimate, all on the same visit. Does next Tuesday or Thursday work for you? So again, it's answering the question and then coming right back into the elevator pitch, right back into the script, and asking them for the appointment to be done. So those are the two major FAQs that a customer is going to throw at you over the phone. That's really it. Sometimes you'll have a customer say that they want to get a price over the phone. That's very common as well. The best way to answer that is there's no real way anybody can give you a good price over the phone, and that's the truth. If you're a franchise owner, you know that to be true, and if you're new to the business, just ask your franchise owner. It's next to impossible for us to give somebody a good price over the phone because there are so many variables that go into a flooring project. There's no way for us to really know. And if people estimate square footage, well, that makes a big deal, especially when it comes to carpet and we're talking about rolls and cuts and things like that. You can't really estimate. You have to know for sure. And that's why we go to the home, and that's why customers love us for it. So if somebody's asking for a quote over the phone, we let them know that it's really hard for us to do because we have a ton of different products and we want to measure your exact space and inspect it. And we do that all for free. So can we come out to your home and do that for free for you? So those are the three, I'd say those are the three major questions that you'll get from a customer when you're looking to schedule an appointment with them. So moving on, here are the buckets that you'll be calling into, and we touched on this already. And I'm going to mostly pay attention to the first one here, the second column where you see needs appointment done. You'll call these customers that need an appointment done, or contact them. Maybe call is not the right word. You'll contact them every day. Every day, and we'll see at the very bottom of this. Look at the very bottom of this table. It says when to stop. We'll stop when they tell us no, or when their phone is no longer in service, and it's impossible for us to contact them, because again, if they contacted us and they put themselves in as a lead, that's them walking into our store, and we're going to make sure that we give them great customer service and we give them exactly what they want. So even though they may not answer on the first attempt, the second attempt, or the third attempt, or the fourth attempt, we're going to make sure that we keep on getting in touch with them. So we're going to contact these leads every day. How are we going to contact them? We're going to use a method called PET, and that doesn't mean you're actually going to touch them with your hands. I think that there are laws against doing that to customers. We're going to, I hope you laughed at that joke, people. If you didn't, and you didn't catch that joke, well then you got to listen a little bit better. So what we're going to do is we're going to PET them, and what that means is it's an acronym that stands for phone, email, and text. So we're going to phone our customers, we're going to email our customers, and we're going to text our customers. Matter of fact is that everybody, myself and yourself and whoever else you know, has a different preferred method of contact. Some people are text people, some people are email people, some people are phone people. And sometimes people that are phone people, they're at work, they request information on a flooring project, and they can't necessarily talk to you on the phone. So if you were to follow up with an email or a text message, you may greatly improve the chances of you getting in touch with them. So when we contact our customers, we're not going to just contact them over the phone. That's leaving out 67% of other customers, of the chances that we contact them. So figure that 33% of people out there are phone people, 33% of people out there are email people, and 33% of people out there are text people. Just assume that. So if you don't reach somebody by just a phone call or just an email or just a text message, you may need to try a combination. You may need to try a different method. So we're going to contact the customer using those three modes of communication. You'll see below that, the the PET in the first column. It says Notes on Approach. Basically, the one thing you need to know, in HA stands for Home Advisor. And if you don't know what Home Advisor is, you can ask your franchise owner for a little bit of an introduction on what Home Advisor is, and that's just a way that a customer gets in contact with us. The only thing is that they use Home Advisor's website to contact us, and they're not contacting Floor Coverings International, so to speak. So they're contacting Home Advisor, and Home Advisor is passing us their information, the customer's information. So to call them and say that we're calling from Floor Coverings International, I mean, that they may figure out what we're talking about, but it's probably more appropriate to say, I got your phone number from Home Advisor. That's all that note means right there. If you look in the very middle, you see red text, and the red text is need to close. So remember, need to close is a sale that your franchise owner or a design associate went out on. They did not land the sale, and for whatever reason, they're not yet a customer. This is the responsibility ultimately of either the design associate or the franchise owner to follow up on these customers for a few reasons. The first reason is that they've been out to this person's home and they've established a relationship. That's number one. The next reason is if there is a design associate in the business, a salesperson that is not the franchise owner, they're going to want to have full control over the leads and their sales, because that's how they earn their paycheck. And the final reason, and this has a lot to do with having a relationship with the customer, is there may have been something in that visit that you didn't know about that you need to know about. So for example, if you happen to pick up the phone and randomly call a customer that needed to close, and you did not know that when the design associate or the franchise owner was out at the home, they signed the paperwork, they became customers, but the franchise owner just didn't mark it in the computer, well, then the phone call seems a little silly. So, or they tell them, I told the franchise owner that we're going to do this project next month. We're going to do it next month. I told him that. He was just out to my house yesterday. Now, that's why we want the franchise owner and the salesperson, the design associate, to be responsible for these leads. I will say, however, there may come a time, office managers that are on the call, that your franchise owner asks you to lend them a hand in contacting these types of customers. If that's the case, please be sure to get lots of information on each of these customers from the franchise owner. That way you can communicate very clearly with the customer. And the very last column you see is deads to call. So we talked about that earlier, what a dead lead was. We can mark our leads dead. And I recommend to call and email them one time per month. So once a month, put it on your calendar, reach out to them once a month. When you reach out to them, just check in. You'll see notes on approach, check in. And when they tell you, listen, just stop calling this house forever, that's when we'll stop. So those are our buckets, and now moving further into one thing that you need to know is we also have a call center that will be in contact with our leads. It's important that you make notes on every single lead that comes into your system so that we are in full communication with the call center, because they call on our leads 1 or 2 times when they first come in. So what you need to know is to make notes inside of the customer's account. If you're unsure on how to do that, you can ask your franchise owner, or you can just stay on the line and I'll show you in a moment. But we're wrapping up here. Here is just, again, continuing to wrap up. We have 10 sales commandments that are for our salespeople, and I'm going to include office managers in this. These are very, very important. I'll run through them really quickly. Number 1, your pitch is a part of a bigger picture, meaning that the way you speak to somebody on the phone does not only affect your franchise location, it affects all the franchise locations that are out there, because customers talk, and customers may be dealing with you because they're getting their office flooring done in one territory, and they may live in another territory, and that may determine whether or not they use us and compare us to our peers in our other locations that are floor covering international franchisees. Number 2, we always show courtesy and use the golden rule. We treat people the way they deserve to be treated. Number 3, we use our sales system in the home 100% of the time. Number 4, we show the customer what's right and what they want. That's an in-the-home type of thing. Number 5, we communicate with the customers the way they want. So that's definitely an office manager responsibility. If the customer says they prefer to communicate through text, well, then we're going to text them. The next one, nights and weekends are better, and two-leggers. That's going to help you when you schedule an appointment. It's obviously better for us to be in the home on a night or a weekend, or when the husband and wife are both there together. Both decision makers are present. It's very, very important because those sales usually go much more smoothly for us as salespeople out in the field, and we want to make sure that we set the franchise owner or the design associate up for success. Number 7, we show up on time every time, and that also has to do with the immediacy that we use when we call a lead. When we notice that a lead or a prospect shows up in our system and we get an email and that lead or prospect is there, we're not going to wait. We're not going to get a cup of coffee and then come back and then call them. We're going to show up on time every time. We're going to make sure that we call them back very quickly because that's very much indicative of our customer service. Number 8, same visit proposals. That is a rule for our people that are in the homes. Number 9, next day and relentless follow-up. So again, we want to make sure that we're continuously and relentlessly following up with all of our leads and all of our sales. And number 10, great is the enemy of good. If you find yourself nervous about making a phone call because you don't know the elevator pitch perfectly and exactly, well then guess what? Who cares? The customer's not going to know that you don't know it perfectly. If you drive yourself crazy over being great and it forces you to be inactive or it causes inaction, just remember that it's better to act than it is to get yourself wound up and nervous about being perfect. So always keep that in mind. Great is the enemy of good. And now here we go as we start to land the plane and ease into our afternoon exercise that we will review the results tomorrow morning. So here is your phone script. This can be your this can be a little cheat sheet that you can write if you have a pen and paper. I would take notes on this. When we speak on the phone, remember, number 1, we're enthusiastic as hell. Number 2, we're the friendliest person we know. So we're going to, when we make an outbound call, we're going to say, "Hi, Mrs. Smith." Very excited, very the tonal is accelerated and the pitch is going up. During my first sentence, we're going to be friendly off the bat. "Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. This is so-and-so from Floor Coverings International. How are you today?" That's ending with a question. So that's number 2. Number 3, how we got your info. So this number is an optional one, I would say. We want to tell the customer how we got their info. So if the customer is calling us, we're not going to use number 3, is how I say it's optional, but we could say, "Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. This is Albert calling from Floor Coverings International. How are you today?" "Well, I'm great. We got your info from a web inquiry, or we got your info at a BNI group, or we got your info through Home Advisor." So we're just telling the customer how we got their info, and then who we are. Number 4 is who we are. That's the elevator pitch. Again, we're Floor Coverings International. What we do is we come out to your home with samples. We'll measure the space. We'll select product with you for the exact thing that you're looking for, and we'll give you a quote and an estimate right on the spot. We do that all for free. Then you'll see number 5, we've got 2 options for appointment time. Then number 6, we ask. Remember, we have to ask for the sale. We have to ask the customer to book the appointment. Which one works for you? Or can I go ahead and book that one? So that's number 6 is not necessarily a word-for-word script. Number 6 is making sure that we ask the customer to book the appointment. So this is our script. I'm going to go through it one more time. Please make sure you're taking notes on these 6 steps when we make an outbound call. Number 1, "Hi, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so," in a high-pitched, friendly voice. "This is blank, your name, from Floor Coverings International. How are you today? I got your info from wherever you got their info from." And if you're unsure, you could say, "I got your info in our system off the internet. You inquired from us from the internet." That's how 90% of the people are getting in touch with us. Number 4, who we are. That's the elevator pitch. So if you took notes on the elevator pitch earlier, you'll be good to go on number 4. Number 5, we have to make sure that we're prepared with 2 different options for an appointment time. And then number 6, we're asking them if we can go ahead and book the appointment. We're going to ask them for the sale. So now